Hello, welcome to Unacademy. This platform offers daily live classes, structured courses are there, then there are live tests and quizzes, unlimited access on subscription. You can also download the app, that is Unacademy Learning app, which is available on Google Play as well as Apple App Store. This is about me, and this is my Telegram link. This is my Unacademy profile link. In this very Telegram link, you can ask any doubts. Okay, if you face any doubts, any questions in my lectures, you can ask me. I will answer them. I will make sure that every doubt is resolved. Okay, along with me, these are the top educators on Unacademy platform. You can access the courses offered by them. Okay, now these are the different plans for subscription. If you choose plus, then you have live classes, test series, unlimited practice, structured schedule. And if you go with Iconic, you are provided with personal coach also, and then there is daily means, question answer practice, study planner, and personal feedback. Now these are the different plans to subscribe, okay, for the different durations, and all these plans are available at 10% discount if you use the coupon code with PS. Okay, now again these are different plans for subscription, so you can choose according to your requirements. And again these plans are available at 10% discount if this coupon code, that is Amit PS, is used. Okay, these are different options which are available on the platform, and I'm going to take political science and IR, that is international relations, optional. Again, these are different plans for different durations of time. Okay, and these plans are available at 10% discount. 10% discount if this particular code, that is Amit PS's code, is used. Okay, now this lecture is on Aristotle's ideas on power property. Okay, so before I discuss that, I will just help you in recalling that what Plato has got to say on property. So, although this is covered in detail in that very video where I have discussed about the communism of property and family, the crux of the argument is this: that for Plato, property is evil. Okay, it is evil, or he was convinced. If I use Sabine's statement, he was so convinced about the pernicious effects of this very property, the wealth. Okay, और क्या उसमें pernicious effect क्या है? It is going to, the Plato's fear is that it is going to corrupt whom? Rulers and auxiliaries, that is guardian class. Okay, so that is why he does away with the institution of private property for guardians. Okay. Hmm. Now, why he does not allow the property for the guardians? Because according to him, this is an element of appetite. Element of appetite. Now, appetite is something which I told you is the dominant quality in the souls of individuals belonging to producer class, and that is why guardian class should not have this very property, because property is the element of appetite. Okay. Hmm. Now that was about Plato, but now we are going to concentrate on Aristotle and what Aristotle has to say about property. Okay, so Aristotle is going to favor the institution of property. Aristotle says that property as an institution has stood the test of the time. Okay, and it has been witnessed, or it is evident that property is useful for various reasons. Okay, so property makes things happen in the ways which is very important for the sustenance of family, individual, society, and state at large. So these are the line of arguments that he's going to adopt. Okay, so we are going to see his opinions here. Aristotle is of the opinion that human happiness requires all kind of external goods. Again, recall the consistency that I'm trying to focus on here, that as state is the ultimate institution in Plato's scheme, because it is going to fulfill all the material needs. Okay, all material needs are going to be fulfilled by states. Getting it? So fulfillment of the material needs is one very important criteria on which he is going to judge the things. Okay, so property is required. It is essential for human happiness. Okay, because human happiness requires what? External goods, all kinds of external goods. He is pointing towards material goods here. Okay, and including wealth and property. So it is important for human happiness also. Understand one more thing, that when Plato was trying to come out with his scheme of ideal state, the foremost objective here was to establish justice in the society. Okay? So Plato's ultimate project is for ideal state, and you can also say about justice. Aristotle, if at all there is any, Aristotle's ultimate objective is attainment of quote unquote good life. Okay, this is something which is very evident when you read the books, his books like politics. I am not suggesting you to read these books. Okay, this is not required. Politics or even ethics. Actually, the search here is for attainment of good life. Okay, good life or happy life. That is what Aristotle is trying to help, trying to help individuals attain. Okay, Aristotle is of the opinion that property is useful. Okay, property is useful, or it is required for human happiness. Material goods are necessary to lead a good life, and so property is essential. A and C. Material goods are essential. Why they are essential? To lead a good life. That is one purpose here. I already told you that Aristotle's one important purpose, or one very important objective, is good life, helping individuals attaining the good life. And so property is essential. Property becomes essential because it is leading to good life, and institution of property is justified. Okay. Property, according to Aristotle, is intrinsic part of household and its management. It is intrinsic part of household and its management. Aristotle considers four. Now, how property has to be arranged, or how it is going to be controlled, in which way it is going to be held by individuals. That is uh, something that Aristotle is actually now focusing on. So, property can be in form of common ownership also, or it can be held individually also. It can be used by society as a large, and it can be used only by individual also. So there can be different permutation combination with regard to the ownership and utilization of property, and that is why these are the three propositions he that actually are possible. So property can be held as with any individual, that is individual ownership, and it can also be held as something as somewhere where it is going to be used only by individual alone. Then there can be common ownership also, and along with common ownership there can be individual use. So it is going to be owned by community, or by people together, but it is going to be accessible for individual use, held in common but individual use. Then the third is common ownership and common use. And fourth is individual ownership and common use. So these are the four conditions which are possible with regard to the ownership and use of property. But now Aristotle is going to reject three of these propositions and going to select one. Okay. So the first thing that should be kept in mind is this, that when Aristotle considers property, or he accords the importance to property, he is very much clear. So, for example, if you recall that he was favoring, in when we discussed about the features of police, he was favoring that authority should be vested in the hands of rich. And who are the rich people? Rich people are those who have property. Okay, so at this very point, you might tend to believe that he is going to favor something which you find in the system of capitalism. Okay? Unrestricted ownership unrestricted ownership or right over the property or the private property. That is one feature of the capitalism. But now you will see his exact ideas, and then you will realize that uh, he is not actually talking in those lines. Okay, now we will see the details here. Aristotle straight away negates the first proposition, that is individual ownership and individual use. This is the proposition that you find in capitalism. Getting it? Individual ownership and individual use. Yes or no? This system, individual ownership and individual use, is to be found in capitalism. And here in this first proposition itself, he is negating it. Okay, he is negating it, and that is why you can say that see, system of capitalism emerged much after Aristotle. Okay, so we are talking in retrospective sense. Okay, so he is negating individual ownership and he is not going to support individual ownership and individual use of property. Now, what is the reason behind it? Why he is not supporting it? He is not supporting it because, according to him, or that is what Miller is actually pointing out, that Aristotle rejects this proposition because he is not going to defend what? A system of unqualified privatization. Okay, so if a state allows individual ownership and individual use in unrestricted manner, then it is what? It is unqualified privatization only. And that is what Aristotle is not going to accept. Okay, he rejects unqualified privatization, which is a feature of capitalism. Now, moreover, private property and private use should not be the norm because it would be a property arrangement that systematically rules out any kind of giving and sharing one's private property. So he is against individual use and individual ownership also because he gives importance to the giving and sharing of one's property also. Again, recall his idea of polis, okay, his idea of man being a political animal, okay, his idea of citizenship, all that, in all those theories, in all those thoughts, you saw that Aristotle gives a lot of importance to the bond of intimacy, okay, bond of intimacy among people in polis, okay. The bond of intimacy cannot emerge in this kind of situation, okay, well, when there is no sharing of property or giving of property to each other, okay. Giving and sharing of property is required for that kind of bond of intimacy to exist. Yes or no? Yes, this is required. The second proposition is what? It is common ownership and individual use. So now it is about what? It is similar to communism of property. So property is going to be held in common and anyone can use it. This is what communism is all about. So ownership is common and anyone is allowed to use it. Now this very proposition is again what? Communism of property, I told you. Now Aristotle says that this will be against the principle of justice. Now this very thing, this very proposition where property is held in common and is accessible for use to anyone is actually the system of communism of property, and Aristotle says that this is going to be against the principle of justice. Why he is against the principle of justice? Why he says that it is against the principle of justice? This is because I'm sorry. This is because he says that if it is allowed uh, to be owned by community and at the same time anyone is having access to its use, that means, or it may give rise to a situation that a section of population would be working very hard, okay, for the creation of property, and another section of population might be lethargic, okay, might not be willing to work hard for the creation of property, but still will be enjoying the benefits of property. So that is the kind of situation which may emerge in this kind of setting. So that is why this is against the principle of justice. Okay, it is against the principle of justice because it may be a case that individuals who are working hard for creation of property are are going to create property, and those who are not working hard are able to utilize it, or they are also having access to it. Okay, and that is something which is going to be against the principle of justice. Okay, this will be against the interest of those also who are working very hard. Okay, now this is also again going to create discontentment, or may create discontentment among those who are working here very hard for the creation of property. Okay, so that is what it is being claimed here, that this will spread discontentment. असंतोष फैल जाएगा उन लोगों के बीच में जो प्रॉपर्टी को क्रिएट करने में तो खूब सारी अच्छी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसका यूज वो लोग भी कर रहे हैं जो उसके लिए मेहनत नहीं कर रहे. Okay, so the accusations will be raised against those enjoying or taking many things while laboring little. हो सकता है थोड़ा सा मेहनत कर रहे हो, लेकिन फायदा उसी तरह उठा रहे हो जैसा कि दूसरे जो बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत कर रहे हैं. Okay, by those taking less and laboring more. Okay, Aristotle in Politics also claims that communism of property will reduce the productivity. Okay, how he is able to point out one lacuna in the communism, or the system of communism, which was realized much later, or especially realized in the decade of 80s in last century. Actually, this is what happened in case of, say, for example, USSR and other socialist economies. Okay, other communist economies, socialist economies, communist economies. Okay, because people there do not have any incentives to work hard. Okay, everything is held in common. Theoretically, I'm speaking, and this is going to reduce productivity. So Aristotle actually had this very foresight even 300 or 3 centuries before Christ. He writes that dividing the care of position, they will not make accusation against each other, but rather they will improve as each attends to his own. Okay, so if if property is held in common, that means what? Then that in that kind of system, in that kind of position, it may happen that the fruits of those very property are going to be enjoyed by many, but they are not ready to take care of those very positions. Okay, that is what it is. The third position is property that is common in ownership and common in use. This also this is also similar to communism. Why? Because again, ownership is common only, so it will have the same problems that you have seen in this very case. Okay, and common ownership and common use, that is practically not possible also. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be a practical option. Then what remains is the fourth proposition. So Aristotle is finally supporting what? The fourth proposition. And what is the fourth proposition? Fourth proposition is that property should be held in at the level of individual, and it should be accessible to all. So ownership is going to be individual. Okay, ownership is going to be at the individual level, but everyone is should be able to have access to it. If ownership is in the individual hand, then the one who is owning that property is going to attend to it, or will take care of it, of his possession. Now, if use has been kept or open, or the utilization of that property is actually allowed or accessible to others, then it will also ensure the sharing of property. Okay, it will also give the opportunity for the individual who is owning that property to be generous, to be plentiful. Okay, and that is what Aristotle actually is supporting. So you can see here, this is also the reason why people care for things which belongs to them. Okay, so when there will be individual ownership, then those who will be owning that property are going to take care of it. Okay, in common ownership, that is not possible. In common ownership, that is not possible. Now, with regard to common use, why he supports it, this is the reason. Aristotle says that Doing favors for and helping friends, guests, or mates is the most pleasant, and this happens only when property is private. So, what he is saying that helping others, okay, helping friends, guests, and mates, all this is something which is pleasant, which is going to give happiness to people. But these all things are possible only when property is held in common or is it is in private hands. Okay, if it is held, property is held in private hands. If it is held in common, then that is not possible. These things do not occur for those who make the city too much of a unity. That means those who are going to make a system where property is held in common. Okay, so in a subtle sense, he is again criticizing Plato, where he came out with his plan of communism of property. Getting it? From this follows that generosity, that is the quality of being plentiful, like other virtues, is pleasant. Okay, ये खुशी देने वाला है, ये खुशी होती है when you are generously giving others. This gives you happiness. Okay, and one requires private property to be generous. One can become plentiful, one can generously give others only when one has the property. Okay, which will not be possible if the property is held in common. Again, criticizing Plato directly, indirectly, and establishing the importance of the institution of property, but not favoring the disqualified privatization. Okay, ensuring that it does not lead to disqualified privatization, as is the case with unchecked, unprincipled capitalism. Yes or no? Yes. Now again, see. So the proposition of individual ownership but common use is to be favored. Okay, Aristotle thus concludes that property ought to be generally owned in private but common in use. Generally owned in private because Aristotle says that only then it is the proper care of the property is going to be done. Okay, property, there will be proper care because the one who is going to own property is going to attend to it, is going to take care of it. Now, common use is necessary because only then sharing and giving away of the property will be possible. Only then it will be possible that people are able to share their property. Okay, only then it is going to be possible. He is also going to favor private ownership of property because only then people are going to be able to give money to their friends, their guests, their mates. Okay, only then people can become generous. So the generosity and other virtues is possible only when property is in private hands. I think this is very clear at this very point. Okay, Aristotle provides further qualifications for property when he says that property should be acquired through honest means. He opposes taking interest as one of the means to acquire property. Okay, now I think this is clear. Aristotle is also against amassing property. He, as I told you, that when he supports the institution of property, he provides very solid reasons for it. Okay, so he should not be misunderstood as someone who is supporting the unqualified privatization or amassing of property, or he's just there to take care of the interest of those who are or who own property. No, he is not talking in those lines. Okay, he is against the amassing of property. And see the statement here and why he is again Aristotle's idea or his emphasis over the golden mean being the golden rule comes into play here. Okay, it is very much visible here. To acquire too much property will be a gross and error as to make a hammer too heavy. So if you make a hammer too heavy, that means what? It loses its significance. Yes. Now you use the hammer to use or to apply it as a lever, okay, so that you can mechanically carry out certain work, okay, which is going to be heavy. Without using this lever, it is going to be difficult. Now if you are making the hammer too heavy, that means what? The lever that is going to make your work mechanical, and that's why less uh, um, troublesome and less tiresome, that is not going to be possible because the very lever, the very tool has become okay useless because it is too heavy to lift, or it is too heavy to be used as a machine. Getting it? So this was all about Aristotle's idea on property. Okay. Now, if you like the video, uh, and you plan to subscribe for any plans, you can subscribe to different plans that are available on an academy, and you use this very code, that is Amit Pierce, in order to get 10% discount. Okay. So this was all about this very lecture. Thank you.